Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. You know the drill by now. We're live in the studio, so get involved in the chat and the comments. We're going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news, including how Jude Bellingham very nearly ended up at Old Trafford. He was so close to being a United player, so much so that the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson and Brian Robson were convinced he was going to be one. It's a bit frustrating that, but there's talk that perhaps one day he could end up becoming a United player, so we'll get into that as well. There's also a striker we've been linked with. It looks like Erik ten Hag may be getting his way with a January transfer. We had the news yesterday that there was a bit of an argument going on within the club hierarchy, shall we say. Ten Hag wanted January transfer signings. The likes of Mertz and Arnold and the Glazers were saying not happening, but it looks like there could be a bit of movement there on that, so we'll get into that. Also, Bruno Fernandes has been talking to Adam Crafton at The Athletic, in-depth interview, so we'll get into some of the quotes from them, some really good quotes about Bruno Fernandes, about being at Manchester United, and, some of the sort of the what's gone on since he's arrived, how he arrived here, how he's been playing, and what his role in the team is and all that, and what it's like playing under Erik ten Hag compared to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So we'll start with that. So let's get into some of the Bruno quotes. I see there's a few comments in from you guys already. Jokuya Trot says, morning, Jay. King Dino says, hit like. Great. Shout that. Make sure you are hitting that like button. Yeah, so the Athletic sat down with Bruno Fernandes and did this sort of, well, it's a pretty in-depth interview. It's Adam Crafton with him talking about his time at Manchester United and, how it's gone so far. There's loads of quotes in there. You can go over to the Athletic, you can check out the article. I won't go through the entire article, through the entire quotes, but there's some really good comments he's made. One of the things I liked what he said was he talks about sort of standing near the referee. He said that when he's playing in a match, one of the things he likes to do is he sort of stands near the referee because he says the point where the referee is always a good point because no one is marking the referee. So he says he sort of stands near there. That's one of the ways he helps himself get a little bit of space and stuff, which is it's a pretty good idea. That really, I don't know. It sounds quite revolutionary. Probably not. Probably happened before, but you can't argue with Bruno Fernandes in terms of his numbers and stuff. I know some people have been critical of the consistency, shall we say, of his performances. I really like Bruno. I think he's been a breath of fresh air since he arrived. You look at where we were when he came here. We lost to Burnley, that 2-0 home defeat to Burnley. We were 6 points off the top four. He arrives, we go on this 21-game unbeaten run, and we end up finishing third. And he breaks all sorts of records for goals and assists from midfield. The following season, we finished second, and again, he plays a major part in that. Last season, his numbers dipped as the whole team's did. Didn't have the greatest season. There's still lots of good moments, though, of course. The hat-trick against Leeds, was that last season? The hat-trick against Leeds? I can't remember. No, it wasn't one of the season before. I can't remember. He scored some goals anyway, didn't he? He did all right. This season, his role's been a little bit different. It's been more almost box to box, hasn't it? But one thing I admire about Bruno, I've really noticed more this season, is just how much of an engine he's got. You see him in the sort of the 90th minute. He's still running around the pitch, making tackles, important tackles, and he seems to be benefiting greatly, like the rest of the team are, from Christian Eriksen's arrival. Christian Eriksen obviously taking some of that pressure off Bruno in terms of creating stuff as well, which allows Bruno to do more of his the other parts of his game. Because one criticism I will have of Bruno is sometimes he tries to do everything himself. Talking about Ten Hag, Bruno said, first of all, he has an idea, he has a style, you have to follow his rules, he is strict on that, and I like that. He has brought discipline, which is something I think we missed in the past. Everyone must be on the same page. We've heard that a lot about Bruno Fernandes, sorry, not Bruno Fernandes, about Erik ten Hag, about the discipline side of things, about the fact that, he has this sort of attitude towards the team and the players. They all know they have to arrive on time for team meetings. If they don't, they're dropped. That's a rule, and from what we gather, that's happened as well in pre-season. Someone was late for a meeting, so they were dropped. He doesn't mess about. It doesn't matter who you are as well. It doesn't matter whether you're the biggest star in the world or one of the biggest stars in the world, or whether you're a youngster who's just come through the academy. You have to stick to Erik ten Hag's rules, and we need a bit of that. It feels like Manchester United have just been sort of, I don't know, it felt a little bit like chaotic, didn't it? What was going on? You had all these leaks. You had players just playing like they just didn't want to be there. Obviously, the Ralph Rangnick era, if you can call it that, the Ralph Rangnick tenure, didn't work out. So everyone just seemed disillusioned. We were hearing so many reports of players not being happy and not really responding to his methods. Erik ten Hag's come in and he's whipped everyone into shape, and we saw that, didn't we? The first couple of games, you're thinking, "Hey, up, this could be a bit of a nightmare." But since then, the league games anyway, 4 straight league wins. shows, what he's about and how he's sort of got this team into shape and the way he's getting the best out of not just his new signings, because the likes of Martinez and Eriksen and Malacia have been great. But when you look at Fernandes, seems to be back to some sort of better form. Look at Marcus Rashford, who's finally rediscovered his goal-scoring touch. Diogo Dalot, he's a player, Diogo Dalot. Many people thought, is he even going to be good enough for Manchester United? And he's become a regular. I know it's only short, it's only been a few months, but he's been a regular under Erik ten Hag, and I think his best performances in a United shirt have been under Erik ten Hag. So he's got the best out of players that are already there. Ross Murphy says, morning, like that video. Charlie Hill says, support the lads, like the video. Ocean Man says, pretty sure the new coach isn't going to gel well with the current crop of players. King Dino says, Bruno is a monster. Love his work ethic. You got to admire his work ethic. I admire his mentality as well. He's got a proper winning mentality, and you can see it the way he is on the pitch. One of the things he said in the interview, go and check it out over on The Athletic. He said that one of the referees, he couldn't remember the referee's name, said to him, Bruno, you're great when you're winning. You're a really nice guy, but when you're losing or you're drawing, you're a pain in the ass. And you can see that, can't you, Bruno? He proper badgers referees, doesn't he? He kicks off about everything, doesn't he? Do you remember when Anthony Elanga fouled Marcus Rashford last season to stop us getting that goal against Leicester, and Bruno was going over to the ref going berserk? It's like, what are you doing? That's not a penalty. Anyway, make sure you're hitting subscribe as well. The link in the chat. Subscribe to the channel. We've got 660,000 subscribers. We want to get to 700,000 subscribers by the end of the year. By Christmas, shall we say. Simon Cowie says, last season was the exact same as Sir Alex's third season. Hey, we finished 13th then in 88, 89. I don't know if it's the exact same, but, the season after that, we won the FA Cup. Hopefully, we can win some trophies this time round. Right, should we move on? Should we talk about this potential signing? Now, this is a kid from Benfica. It says here in the Mail, Manchester United are preparing a £25 million bid for Benfica forward Goncalo Ramos as Erik ten Hag looks for a new forward, and the club have already made contact with the Portugal under-21 internationals representatives. Now, this kid, I don't know a lot about him, not going to pretend to do. He scored 8 goals in 12 games for Benfica so far this season, so he's obviously, doing well. Only young, as I've just mentioned there. And at 25 million, nowadays, it's pennies, in it. Let's have it right. You're not getting many players for 25 million. It's amazing to me. We've got Tyrone Malacia for 15 million or whatever else. I think it's 40 million euros, wasn't it, actually? So that was it's already looking like a bit of a snip. It says also there, though, that Newcastle are keeping an eye on him, which could be a bit of a fly in the ointment. It says they were keeping an eye on him, in the summer, but they ended up getting Alexander Isak instead for 63 million. So he's got a decent record, 20 goals in 59 games for Benfica in total. Obviously, he's young, and at 25 million quid, you think that makes a lot of sense. Now, we had the story yesterday that Erik ten Hag had told the board, and we knew from quotes, he'd sort of alluded to the fact, he wanted signings in January. He'd said about looking at, in January and what we can do, or if not then, sort of summer. Just obviously he wanted more players. And from the reports that we were reading and various stories in the newspapers, it seemed that the board and the Glazers, shock horror, the Glazers not wanting to spend our money, by the way, not theirs. Murtaugh and Arnold were reluctant to sanction more signings because we've just spent 230 million quid or whatever the exact figure is. However, according to the Mail anyway, looks like we could be getting reinforcements in the shape of this kid, Goncalo Ramos. We need more signings. Just because we spent loads of money doesn't mean we don't need to spend any more. We've got up front, you've got Anthony Martial, who's played 45 minutes in the Premier League this season, and, he's coming off the back of a season where I think he scored 1 goal at Sevilla. Was it 1 goal at United last season, and the season before that, I think it was 4 Premier League goals. Now, I like Martial, but the jury's out on him whether you can rely on him. Marcus Rashford has said he's rediscovered his scoring touch playing down the middle, but you'd argue that he's probably better on the left-hand side. And, again, can you rely on him to lead the line throughout the course of a season? Maybe, maybe not. And then you've got Cristiano Ronaldo, who's 37 years old and, has 1 goal so far this season in the Europa from the penalty spot. So, we need extra players. You could do with someone, couldn't you? Because when you look past that, you go, Charlie McNeil, love Charlie McNeil, great young player. I don't expect him to play 20-odd games this season. I think he's going to be used sparingly. So you look at him, he's one for the future. I think next season we're really going to see Charlie McNeil featuring a lot more, and I'm looking forward to it. Anthony Elanga, again, you wouldn't really play him down the middle anyway, and can you rely on him? Probably not. So you need some other options. So this kid could be that. It looks like, it makes a lot of sense. Get involved in the chat and the comments. If you know anything about him, let me know, because all I know is what I've, read about him. I'm not going to pretend I know loads about him. I don't, but his stats are certainly good. Right price, right age, makes a lot of sense. Santa Notch in the chat, good to see you. MMIC says, it looks like Ten Hag is a proper trainer as well as a manager, so getting up and coming players might be a good shout, in addition, of course, with established players that slot right in. Yeah, there's been a bit of a mixed bag, hasn't there, with our transfers so far this summer. I should say in the summer, what we did. We had the big money signings. We had the likes of, Martinez, Casemiro, and, of course, Anthony. And then you had Eriksen on a free and Malacia, so you sort of, finding the little bargains where you can, and the lower price ones and the freebies, and then going big when you need to. So I think 25 million, I think he's a bit of a no-brainer. And I don't buy into this idea. Me and Joe were talking about it yesterday on the podcast, that United can't sanction any signings in January because of the money we spent. We can. We can always find more money for signings, especially when it's 25 million quid. It's doable. Don't tell me you can't find 25 million quid for signings when you can find it for a dividend if you need it. Also, there's always players you can possibly move on as well in January. You can look at it and go, okay, if someone's not played from summer to January, you go, do you need them on the books? It's not time to move them on, let them go and get that money off the wage bill. That could free up money as well. So there's ways and means of making this happen, and I think Manchester United need to do that, because what worries me is, yes, things are going well at the moment in the league with these wins. We are looking a bit fragile up front. If we lose one or two players, it's, you're in all sorts of trouble, aren't you? So we'll have to wait and see what happens anyway. I don't know a lot about this kid, but as always, we'll keep you posted. Cheesy Gully Side says, can't we use Sporting as our second academy? Always get great players coming from there. I saw an interview with Lewis Nani the other day. Nani was such a character, from the ridiculous to the sublime. Had some great spells, didn't it? Some great goals and some great skills and all that. It's easy when you look back to forget some of the times he was frustrating, but overall, he was a great player for Manchester United. Also, Cheesy Gully Side says, Max Hall's been the biggest improvement so far. Thought he was dead food. Yep. Scott McTominay is Sean Annie so far under Erik Ten Hag. Hopefully, that can continue as well. Right, should we have a look at this other story that's been doing the rounds? And this is about Jude Bellingham. There's loads of Jude Bellingham stories doing the rounds, isn't it, at the minute? He's sort of become the flavour of the month. He's been linked with Manchester United, and he's been linked with Liverpool as well. I think Romano was talking about it the other day, I think last week, saying that there was a good chance either United or Liverpool could get him in the summer, both, looking at him. United went all out to get him a few years ago, and you don't get more all out than getting Sir Alex Ferguson, Eric Cantona and Brian Robson to meet you. Now, Brian Robson's been talking, and he says that he was convinced that United had landed Jude Bellingham. This is, I'm reading this in the Mail from an interview with Brian Robson, before he chose Borussia Dortmund. And it says here that Robson, Fergie, and Cantona met Bellingham at Carrington. However, he obviously decided to sign for Borussia Dortmund instead. And Robson's more or less saying he thought it was a done deal. And he said he'd watched him closely playing against Sayre. You could see how much he's progressed since we thought we had landed him at Manchester United a couple of years ago. Unfortunately for us, he decided to move to Germany. We thought we more or less had him. Myself, Sir Alex, and Eric Cantona all met him with his mum and dad at Carrington. And after that meeting, we thought he was coming to us. Obviously, he went to Dortmund. I mean, I was talking about this the other day, and, you think, why couldn't we get him? What went wrong there? I mean, it sounds like you pulled out all the stops there. You're getting, Fergie, Eric, and Brian Robson to meet him. You're showing around Carrington. Doesn't seem like, there's much more you can do. Maybe, I don't know whether the money was a thing. You don't want to have thought it. I think, was he 16 at the time we were linked with him? You would have thought the wages would have been good. I think the main sort of carrot for him going to Germany would have been game time. We saw it with Jadon Sancho when he left City. You go into Dortmund, you're going to get a lot of games. You're going to play at a very competitive level. You've got a chance of, playing the Champions League and featuring predominantly in the Champions League, which he has done. I think they won the German Cup a couple of seasons ago, so he's won something as well. So it's a very good place for young players to go. That's why so many young players go there. The likes of Sancho, the likes of Haaland, the likes of obviously Bellingham as well, because it's a very good stepping stone. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It is a stepping stone. Nearly all their players move on, don't they? So it's not like you're going to go there for the rest of your career, no disrespect to them. But you go there for a few seasons and then you can move on and get a big money move. And, you've also got quite a lot of games under your belt. So even though it's frustrating we didn't get Bellingham, I understand why it didn't happen. Just goes to show how close it was, though. The fact that Brian Robson saying, and Fergie, they all thought it was a done deal. Hopefully, it can become a done deal because Bellingham's one of those players, and he just looks like the business. He just does. He looks exactly the type of player you need. And it's, you know, you go back years ago with United, and that's the sort of player we'd go out and we'd get. Remember in '93, we'd won the league, and what did we do? We went out and got the best young midfielder we could get, Roy Keane. Broke the transfer record, British transfer record for him. We got him. Go back over 10 years before that, what did we do? Went out and got the best midfielder we could get in Brian Robson. Sometimes you just got to go out and get one of these superstars. And Bellingham's got the potential to be that. I'm not saying he's there yet. He isn't, sorry. And, you know, things can go wrong from the age of 19 to as you get older. But he looks like he could be a future star. And, you know, if he came to Old Trafford, you'd be absolutely buzzing. And I think that should be your main signing next season. We'll have to wait and see whether it happens. Simon Cowie says, if we can sign Bellingham, I think you could see Donny van de Beek leaving, and he could be great competition for Fernandes and even Eriksen. Monib Abraham said he's going to end up at Liverpool. Shimo says, hope he goes to Real Madrid if he's not coming to United, not to Man City or Liverpool. Yeah, maybe City could go in for him. I don't know. They've not been linked with him as much as the likes of Liverpool and United. A lot may depend on what happens this season, you know, because people look at it and go, okay, well, if he goes to Liverpool, he can play in the Champions League. Not guaranteed. They've got to qualify for starters. I mean, you'd expect them to, but stranger things have happened. It wasn't that long ago where, you know, going into the last month of the season, they looked like they were out of the Champions League places and they weren't going to get there. And they just had that mad run, didn't they? Where they got themselves into, was it Alisson Becker scoring a winner in injury time at, was it West Brom, wherever it was? You know, those sort of things. So it's not a given that Liverpool be in the Champions League next season. Obviously, it's not a given we will be either, but you could have a scenario. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that United have Champions League football and the Scousers don't. I mean, I'd love it if that was the case. But we'll have to wait and see how this season pans out, whether Manchester United can, you know, convince him this time round and just what the situation is. Because I think if Erik ten Hag has a very successful season this season, if, you know, United do qualify for the Champions League, if you see players playing well, if the signings were brought in shine, and you see some of these youngsters shine as well, and you can say to Jude Bellingham, you know, you're joining a club and a manager that's on the up and he's challenging, then that, you know, that could tempt him. Because let's not forget as well, regardless of whether you know, think United are going to compete or whatever, we're still the biggest club in England. Easily. No one's got a fan base like Manchester United. No one's got a stadium as full as Manchester United. You don't get 76,000 fans down at Anfield, are you? Or anywhere else, for that matter. So it's easy to sort of put us down, but we're still the biggest club in the land. And if he looks at it and he wants to play for someone in the Premier League, he might go, well, who's the biggest club? United, I'm going to go there. I hope so anyway. Get into some of the comments. Simon Bennett says, Brian Robson, greatest football player ever. Had Maradona in his pocket. Seriously. Barcelona 84. Check it out. Santa Not says, we also went out and got Alan Brazil. Laughing emoji. Yes, we did. Joseph Dunn says, knowing how United work, Bellingham wouldn't have improved there like he has at Dortmund. He definitely would not have played as many first-team games as he has played in his first 2 seasons at Dortmund. I get that. I understand it. So, like I say, you know, as a United fan, you think, oh, why would you not go to United? But it kind of makes sense that he went to Dortmund, even though it's frustrating from a United point of view, because you're going to get games. You're going to get, you know, playing against top-level teams. I know, you know, you look at the German league, and okay, it's not as competitive out, you can argue, as the English league, but there's certainly a lot of good teams in there, and he's played a lot in the Champions League as well. And, you know, yes, he would have played in the Champions League at Manchester United because we did qualify, don't forget, and I think pretty sure we would have qualified if he'd have been here. But he has played a lot of games, so it does make sense. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks for everyone who's got involved in the comments. Amir Dal Yamani says, I'm bold too, Jay. Keep it real. Santa Not says, bold Amir. Yes. Great to hear that. Karthik Mohan says, Jude could be a statement signing. If we went out and got Jude Bellingham in the summer, that would make a big statement. And I think as well, it'd massively improve our team. And he could be one player who is here for the next 10 years. But if he ends up going to Scousers, I didn't want him anyway. That's all I'm going to say. Make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be back later on. We're going to have myself, Joe, Adam McCullough, all having a bit of a debate. So make sure you're checking that out. And check out all the other videos we've got up as well. And the merch at paddockmerch.com. You can go and check out a link in the description for that. I've been Jay. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.